This video, I want to look at a Python-Flask app that has a couple of routes, 2 or 3, depending on how you count, that leads to some pages. And we did something similar in a previous video, but this time those HTML pages are going to come in a templates folder. So we're going to be using the render template method. All right, so I've opened up Visual Studio Code here to my Flask Demos folder, but that's not quite yet my virtual environment where I have Flask installed. So the first thing I'm going to do here is get into the virtual environment, which I've named venv. And now that we're in the virtual environment, I also want to activate it. For me, on a Windows system, it's in the scripts folder. And I'm going to run one of these activates. I'm in a sort of PowerShell terminal, so I'll be working with the PowerShell version. And so that is in a folder, so I'm giving the name of the folder, scripts, and then activate. And I don't have to worry about case sensitivity in a Windows system. Okay, so now there it is, venv in the green there to say I have a activated virtual environment. And now I want to set up, I have my hello world, I have my 2 routes, and now I'm working with render template. And so I need to specify which app it is that I'm going to run. And there are multiple ways to do this in Visual Studio Code. I tend to do it command line. I'm going to copy that down here, paste it in to my terminal down below. And now it knows what app I am running. I have 3 apps at this stage in my virtual environment, but render_template is the one I'm running, and I don't include the extension. I don't include the .py. And I'll decide if I may want to debug it on the fly. I probably won't, but if I do, I'm going to run this command. So you can run the commands in different ways, and you can move into this debug mode in different ways. But since I'm bringing up the app on a command line, I also do the debug on a command line. Okay, and then I'm finally ready to run Flask, so that's Flask run. And it's brought up, this is some debugger info, but here is the link and the control click. Control click, okay. That was open here. So here's my page, one static page from template. And this is the default route. And I have a route called one. And that has the same page as the default route. So the default route and the one route are leading to the same page. It's not a redirect. If it were a redirect, if I were redirecting the default to the one, then you would never be able to see this up here with the default. It automatically say 1. And we'll do that in another example. That's a useful thing to know. But that's, right now we have these 2 routes, the default route and the one route leading to the same page. This is the first static page, one static page. And then the other route, the distinct route that I have is just called 2, and that says up here 2 and second page. Okay, so now we want to see the Python Flask code, and we also want to see where these pages are coming from. Okay, so import Flask and add the render_template. Start announcing that we're going to have a Flask app. Here is this sort of, I'll call it stacking of 2 routes to be the same route. The default route and the one route are handled by the same function. Again, different from redirecting. And we're going to a template, which we've got to show. That's going to be in this templates folder. And there should be something in the templates folder called one.html. There we can see it. And that's just going to be some hard-coded HTML page. Here is my route 2, handled by some function I called other. And I'm going to use render template and go to 2.html. And then down here at the end is just some code for debugging. There's more than one way to start a Flask app within Visual Studio Code. I did it by command line, so if I wanted to debug, I worked this way on the command line. But if you were starting different ways, like over here in this run and debug, if you're going to work this other way, then this command may help move you into the debug mode. Okay, so now the only thing we have left to look at is one HTML and two HTML, and they're just hard-coded HTML files, static pages, not very interesting. So here's one.html, again, in the templates folder directory. So it's just got an HTML, it's got a head, it's got a body, it's got some meta tags, a title. So basic HTML, and then two. So in a previous version where we had two routes, we just returned the HTML we would just here return, and then we had our hard-coded HTML was right here. Now we reference a file and is in the templates folder, and we call that with this render_template method, and that then is going to look for this folder called templates and look for that file name in there, and then serve it up. So we're just progressing. We did hello Flask, hello world, which we just wrote some text. Then we had multiple routes but we wrote the HTML from Python. Now we are using a template. So we have some pre-existing HTML and just put it in the right location, and then we just refer to that location. And that's what I wanted to show you with this one.